Inspector Rafi, who was suspended for not discharging his duties properly in connection with the molestation horror of the 22-year-old, has been arrested. The errant cop had gone absconding after an FIR was filed against him. Now he has been arrested by the Pulakeshi Nagar police. He was booked under section 166A of the IPC. Let's not forget that the victim in the 22-year-old molestation case had gone to the police officials to file a complaint 2 days after the incident had taken place, but the police, instead of taking in her complaint as it is, had advised her to downsize the allegations and had manipulated with this complaint, and an FIR was still not registered. It was only after the intervention of the media did the police actually go ahead and register an FIR, and the man in question is Inspector Mohammad Rafi. Yesterday an FIR was registered against him for his inaction for dereliction of duty, but we understand that the inspector had reportedly gone absconding yesterday, but today he has been held by the police and has been taken into custody. Well, the inspector has been arrested by the Pulakeshi Nagar police. He has been charged under section 166A of the IPC. The inspector had not supported the victim when she had gone on to file a complaint against the perpetrators. Instead, he had gone on to tell her to not mention the words kidnapped as well as sexual assault in her case. The Inspector Mohammad Rafi has been booked under IPC section 166A, and the Pulakeshi Nagar police have taken him into custody. 166 under the Indian Penal Code basically deals with the public servant disobeying law with the intention to cause injury to any person. And here we have Inspector Rafi being a public servant, despite having the duty, having the responsibility of protecting the citizens of the city, had gone on to work against a victim who had been molested. Well, in fact, a 22-year-old had been involved in a molestation case. The 22-year-old, who was sitting with her friend outside her apartment complex in Fraser Town on Friday night, was surrounded by goons. And even as she attempted to get out of the car and run towards her house, the goons held her, forced her into the car. They drove around the area for about an hour, all the while the person physically abusing her, molesting her, even as her friend was held at knife point. The police had done precious little to take into custody the main accused in the case, Haider Nasir, and it was the victim's friends themselves who fanned out across the area, tracked down the Skoda car, and have now handed over the custody of the accused, the main accused, to the police. While the police have sat on the case, not doing much, and have only gone on to say that the other accused are absconding. Yesterday, News9 caught up with the other accused, spoke to them, who have gone on to say that they are being falsely implicated in the case. But in the last 3 days, we have seen as many or more number of cases of sexual assault coming to light, while in Marathahalli, it is the case of a 6-year-old who was physically abused by her own teacher, and her own school had covered up the entire act without even informing the parents or the police. In Hennur, meanwhile, a 16-year-old woman was raped inside a seminary. She had opened the door when there was a knock. The accused sprayed a chemical on her face, due to which she fainted. She was raped then, and then a message was left on her feet. They had written down on her feet that they will be disclosing the video of the rape in the media if money was not given to them. And meanwhile, in Fraser Town, the case of the 22-year-old being molested, even as her friend was held at knife point, has become a major cause of concern as well. Even as the opposition is debating it, even as the media is debating it, even as people are enraged, the government seems awfully quiet on the matter. Well, these are the scenes being witnessed not only in Bengaluru but across the state. Activists and students seething in anger as they have taken to the streets to protest against the inaction on part of the government as far as sexual offenders are concerned. In the past few days, we have seen numerous cases of sexual assault coming to light. While a 6-year-old girl had been physically assaulted and raped in her school premises during class hours, a 22-year-old woman who was accompanied by her friend to her apartment complex was caroused and physically abused in the presence of her friend, who was held at knife point. And in the big news just coming in, Muhammad Ali and Wasim have been released. The duo are accused in the Frasertown gang rape case. This is the big news that is just coming in. Two of the accused in the Frasertown molestation case. And my colleague Nabila joins us with more details on this. Well, Nabila, what more can you tell us?
Right, Nishita, news just coming in that Wasim and Muhammad Ali, the two of the accused in the gang rape case in Frasertown, have been released only because the police think that they might not be really involved in the case, and that Nasir Haider, the first accused, who the girl herself identified to be the culprit, simply named them just because he had old rivalry with the two boys. It is, in fact, just yesterday, News9 had a chat with two of the accused, Imtiaz and Atiq, and both of them claimed that they were absolutely innocent and they were not involved in the case, and that Nasir Haider was just framing them only because they had some old rivalry going on. In fact, it is said that today the police say that even Muhammad Ali as well as Wasim were also framed by Nasir Haider, and they were the two boys who were arrested by the cops because they believed that these were the two boys who were present in the car at the crime scene. But we understand now that the police too were hoodwinked and tricked by Nasir Haider himself, and he was trying to evade and sort of trying to misguide the cops investigating into the case, and named two other boys' names who were not even involved in the case. So it now comes to light that Nasir Haider had falsely accused four of the boys, that is Wasim, Muhammad Ali as well as Imtiaz and Atiq, and Imtiaz and Atiq were never arrested because the police had doubts if at all they were actually involved, but now it comes to light that they weren't involved, and the two other boys as well who were arrested are also released now, Nishita, and this now comes back to square one because the police have only one of the accused in the case in their hand, and the other three boys who the girl mentioned who were present at the scene are still absconding. So again, it comes back to a whole circle, and the police are facing a dead end in the investigations here because the three other boys are absconding, and they were confused that these were the other three boys, but it now the police themselves have confirmed that the boys have nothing to do in the case, and it is the other three boys who they are yet to search, and a search team is on the hunt for these three boys, Nishita.
But also, Nabila, does it seem like the police officials are fairly laid back on this particular case? Even the main accused has been handed over to them by the victim's friends. They claim to not track down the other accused, but the media was able to easily access them. The News9, in fact, you yourself easily accessed them. They were available for comment. They were available to, in fact, give out their statement as well. Does it seem like the police officials are taking this case a little too lightly?
Well, Nishita, we can't really say that the police are taking it lightly. We could call it that the police are being more precautious when it comes to this particular case because the media is harping on this particular issue for the last few days, and everybody is talking about it. There are social networking sites that are trending on this issue, and people are sort of giving a lot of they are literally people want justice as soon as possible, and there is immense pressure on the police department. So we can't say that they're taking it lightly. It looks like more that the first accused, Nasir Haider, misguided the police, and the police actually fell for it, and they lost their way with investigations, and they arrested three other people who were really not involved, assuming that they were involved just based on Nasir Haider's word. So it's more of a foolish behavior from the police department more than being laid back, because if at all Nasir Haider the first accused, is blaming two other boys. Before the police making an arrest, they've got to check the boys' credentials, check for proof if the boys were really around the scene of crime at that time, 12:15 a.m. when the crime happened. So without any sort of check and research, the police has gone ahead and arrested two other people, and they now come back a whole circle saying no, that was a mistake and they weren't involved in it.
Right.
So it seems like more than being laid back, the police are more confused, you can call it, Nishchita.
Right. Thank you for joining us with all those details there, Nabila. Well, there we have it. Two other accused arrested in the Frasertown molestation case have now been released by the police, as the police feel that they are not the real culprits.